When my family moved here to Dorado Hills, we weren't totally sure what the pros and cons were, but we knew we were excited to be here. Now that we've been here a while, I know what the pros and the cons are, and today I would love to share those with you. Thank you for tuning in. I am John Jackson, your friend in real estate here in the entire Sacramento area. I'm talking about Placer County, El Dorado County, and Sacramento County. If you are looking for a great place to land in Northern California for you and your family, well, you found it. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll continue to provide great videos for you with good insight on things like outdoor living, education, and of course, my favorite, real estate. And also reach out to me at any time. My contact information is in the info on this video and also on the main page. Now let's take a look at El Dorado Hills, this great place, and what are the pros and cons of living here. El Dorado Hills sits up Highway 50 about 30 miles outside of Sacramento, California. You find it just as you begin to enter the foothills as you go towards Lake Tahoe. There are about 45,000 people in population in El Dorado Hills, and it's nestled right up against the back of the larger town of Folsom, which has about 90 to 100,000 people there. It also butts up against Folsom Lake, so we'll talk in just a few minutes about recreation, but that's a big part of the recreation of El Dorado Hills. So today I'm going to give you 3 pros and 3 cons from firsthand experience since my family and I moved to El Dorado Hills. Let's start with the pros because we love it here. Pro number 1 is going to be the schools. A lot of my clients, my buyers, they move into town specifically for the schools. These are some of the top school districts in the state, very highly rated. And we found that our kids were able to get immediately plugged in, and there are lots of opportunities for kids to get involved in lots of different things dependent on what their interests are. So my kids liked water polo and they were able to get involved in that in high school. There's opportunities for them to get involved in drama and extracurriculars. People find at the schools here that the academic levels are high, and there are opportunities for kids to take AP classes in high school, to really excel and to do well in their classes if they try hard, of course. The second pro that I'm going to tell you about today is going to be that you have a variety of different options for the place that you live and for the type of housing that you live in. So we bought new construction when we moved to El Dorado Hills, and there's not a lot of new construction, but you can find some. The cool thing about this place is that there is every different type of housing here that you can imagine. So you can go up to Ridgeview and get hillside living that was built in the 80s and early 90s that has a lot of uniqueness and a lot of different feel to it, very, very established, that rolls through the hills and has just a really pretty tree-lined street type of feel, and the houses are pretty much all different, but they are a tad older. Other clients of mine, they may choose Serrano Country Club. So Serrano was built in the early 2000s, 1,400 homes that surround a beautiful golf course. So this is going to be your country club community. And you have everything in Serrano from $700,000 one-story homes all the way up to super luxurious $3 million estates at the top of Serrano with custom finishes and views of Folsom Lake. Then you have the south side of the freeway. You're going to have Blackstone. Blackstone is only about 15 years old, so that is, of course, on the newer side. So you're not going to have a lot of maintenance over there, but also you're not going to have as much landscaping and development as far as trees and plants and all that stuff. But the homes are, of course, going to be newer and a little bit more energy efficient. But regardless of where you choose to live and what type of home you choose to live in and what works for your family, El Dorado Hills has some awesome communities to choose from. There's something for everybody, but also the community is just amazing and there is so much to do. So let's talk about pro number 3 of living here in El Dorado Hills, and that would be the access to outdoor activities and recreation. So the list here can be endless, but I'm going to share with you a few from my own personal experience and from my family's experience. So some of the things we like to do. This list could go on and on, but let's start with Folsom Lake and the rivers that come off of Folsom Lake. Folsom Lake is butted up against El Dorado Hills, so you have endless opportunities to access water. It's so easy that we often do this after work on a day, a random Tuesday or Thursday or Friday, and go out and hop on the paddle board and enjoy some water activity at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. It's so easy and simple. Also, a lot of people have boats here in El Dorado Hills. Very easy to go out there on Folsom Lake and enjoy a sunset. So between paddleboarding, walking around the rivers and the lake itself, and then getting out on the lake on a boat, that water access is just awesome. Other recreation that we love is El Dorado Hills is only about an hour and a half or less from Lake Tahoe. And you just drive up Highway 50 and you get a beautiful drive right through the woods and you get to Lake Tahoe and get to enjoy everything there. But even along the way, that is such a great drive. You hit Apple Hill after about 30 minutes, and that's a really fun one in the fall. My family also has enjoyed endless places to hike around here. Hills are pretty much everywhere. Then you can go right next door to Folsom, which is known for its extensive trail system. And you get on one of those trails with either your feet, if you're gonna hike, or a bike, and you can just go forever, and the trails just wind and continue on forever. So hiking for my family is a continuous operation. Also regarding recreation, one thing we didn't realize where we lived before was most people in El Dorado Hills have a pool in their backyard, because it gets so hot here in the Sacramento area that pools are super duper common. So having friends over, having family members over, just to hop in the pool on pretty much any day becomes a primo social event and a really nice family gathering spot. So those are the three pros for living in El Dorado Hills. Number one, the schools. Number two, the community and the housing. And then number three, the access to recreation. All right, let's get on to the cons. 3 cons of living in El Dorado Hills. And the more that I live here, the more that I have a hard time thinking of cons of this place. My family loves it so much, and I will say the pros far outweigh the cons, at least for us. But let me get into it. I'll give you 3, and here is number 1 by far, and that is the electricity situation. So El Dorado Hills is a part of PG&E for their electricity supply. The bummer is that right next door, Folsom, is a part of SMUD for their electricity supply. PG&E is over double the price of SMUD for electricity. So that is just such a downer when people move here if they don't think of it before they come in. Now, one factor that you can do to mitigate this is get solar on your house. When we first moved in, we looked at our electricity bill and went, oh my goodness, with the pool and the air conditioner and the hot tub. So just last year we added a significant solar system, and it has made all the difference, night and day. But you have to get the right solar system, and I can connect you to the right people to do that. We purchased the system instead of leasing or financing it, so everything now, after putting out that initial money to buy the solar system, is just money in our pocket, and we're not paying all that money to PG&E every month. But this electricity situation is something you need to consider before you purchase an El Dorado Hills, instead of getting that bill and seeing it and being shocked and wondering what in the world is happening. Next, let's talk about con number 2. People think if they are coming from Southern Cal or from the Bay Area or other high-priced areas that they are going to get such a deal in the Sacramento area on housing. And I will say that El Dorado Hills is not particularly cheap on the housing. It is cheaper than the Bay Area. My calculation would probably be that it is about 70% of what the Bay Area is. So if you sell your house in the Bay Area, you can probably buy a house here for about 25-30% less than the home you had there. But it doesn't mean that it's cheap. So in a lot of parts of El Dorado Hills, if you want 2,600 square feet with a nice sized backyard, maybe a view, you're going to pay $1 million for that house. So don't trick yourself into thinking that that house I just mentioned is going to cost you $300,000. You're going to pretty much need to go across the country to find something like that, and even then, I doubt you'll find it. So please do reach out to me, because I would love to help you find the right house for the right price in the right area. So let's talk about con number 3. This con is not a big deal to me, but it might be for some people. El Dorado Hills is not very close to a large city. We talked earlier in this video that Sacramento is about 30 miles away. So you're talking 30 to 40 minutes. This comes into play if you commute to Sacramento or if you like that larger city feel. So if you're gonna go down to Sacramento, you're talking a little bit of traffic, you're talking 30 minutes, and you may not want to fight that. The big city is not very close. Where it comes into play for us sometimes is the airport isn't terribly close. It's about 40 minutes. It works out fine because we actually just park at the airport. It's a reasonable cost. And when we come home, the car's right there in the garage. We just get in and we leave. So no problem. But if you like that big city feel, if you like all that action and all that congestion and traffic, well, El Dorado Hills might not be for you. You might want to actually go right down into Sacramento. And I do have clients and buyers that purchase down there, and I help them all the time, and they love it. But if you want something a little quieter and a little slower, a little less trafficy, well, that's going to be El Dorado Hills. But it is a little bit a ways away from all of that action. So today we have gone over 3 pros and 3 cons of living in El Dorado Hills. If you live here, what are your pros and what are your cons? And if you're thinking about moving here, what questions do you have? I would love to help you and answer those questions. Take a moment to subscribe to my channel, and I'm going to keep making videos like this to educate you and give you great info on this area and what it provides. I would love to talk to you to help you and your family in taking next steps on possibly moving to this lovely area. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.